Hello, 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 my cuties. I have missed you so. How long has it been? Doesn't matter. This is Suri, and I have brought to you something that has so much rewatch value. I guarantee you're going to make this part of your movie routine, and you will never get bored of this, no matter how many times you watch it. I genuinely guarantee this. I have been grappling with some stuff and figured I needed to rewatch something to feel comforted. I needed to watch a movie that feels like a quilt on a cold winter night. And while this movie is Scrumptious's recommendation of the week, I will tell you this. There has been a time in my life where this was my daily obsession. This movie is a part of a monthly routine for me, and I care so deeply about the characters. I believe they are some of the most realistic teenagers I have ever witnessed. And that is saying something since we live in the age where teenagers look like KJ Apa, Archie from Riverdale, and with his dashboard abs and glowing, muscular, Greek godlike features. I have to say that KJ Apa, while he's very, very beautiful, he does not resemble any of my scrawny, tortured, moody, passionate, brooding crushes I had growing up. Today, I want to talk about Ghibli Studios' Up on a Poppy Hill. Hayao Miyazaki, current love of my life, true to his nature, has given us the sweet, brave, and wonderful female protagonist, Umi. She's a sweetheart, and I truly mean this. She is the best friend we all want. She is the sister I wish I had. In fact, as an only child, I often thought, I don't want siblings. I don't ever want to share my toys or feelings with another human being. But Umi makes me wish I had a sister. She's very put together, very calm. She's kind to everyone. She's patient. She wants to provide for everyone. And she's very, very understanding. You could tell her your deepest, darkest secret, and Umi will find a way to still love you. The opening scene takes us to Umi's town, very, very pretty town. And it is kind of almost cluttered with this beautiful greenery and cute little flowers and these winding streets that just make you wish you could walk those streets and, barge into Umi's house and meet her. The story takes place after World War II and is occurring around the Tokyo Olympics timeline. The reason this story is fascinating is because, one, it is set against real historical events, and two, this is a realistic school crush story. I don't know what age you are, but there is a sweet nostalgia for anyone whose first crushes happened when their sweethearts were dressed in sad school uniforms or awkward haircuts. And like I said, it's realistic and it will definitely make you think of that one person that made coming to school worth the while. I want to break down the movie the best way possible without spoiling it for anyone who has not watched it. So I can say this without a doubt in my mind. If you decided to watch this movie today and then stopped watching the movie 4 minutes in, it will still be the best 4 minutes of your day. The movie starts off with Umi preparing for the day with a sweet song playing in the background. I think it's about breakfast. She prepares rice and ham and eggs and cabbage, and she plates it up so pretty. And when you look at those plates and you watch her kind of rolling up her sleeves and cooking the rice and kind of putting away the dishes, you can feel the warmth from her kitchen. Those plates are so pretty to look at, and this movie is full of food moments like this one. So I sincerely suggest, because I care for you and I love you so, please, please, please sit down with a plate of food before you start this movie. Please don't come back to me and complain that I didn't warn you, because the food moments are so beautifully done, it will make you starve. Anyway, the dining area slowly starts filling up, and Umi is the oldest of her siblings. She has a brother, Riku, and a sister, Sora, and she takes care of them since her mother is away studying, finishing her work in another country. And they live with their grandmother and some adorable paying house guests. This is one of my favorite parts in the movie. A family and some paying guests living together, sharing meals, catching up, talking about the day to day. And it brings me back to softer times when I was a uniform wearing teenager and My parents and I would catch up over dinner or lunch and kind of just bond over the dining table. And it was always wonderful. Even the memories of them are so warming and peaceful. The paying guests are Saori, Miki, and Sachiko. Again, all women, all studying to be doctors and artists. And they're given kind of important details. For example, Sachiko, when she gets to breakfast, she's late and she kind of stays up all night painting, creating, contemplating her work. In comparison to Miki and Saori, uh, who are very put together, Sachiko is like adorable. She has disheveled hair, generally misses the punchline of inside jokes, doesn't understand double meaning statements that are passed around between the house members. She's a bit naive, but she's just adorable. She's also the one who's poetic and notices the little things that everyone else misses. Even the siblings have minute details. And it makes me wish each character in the movie had like their own spin-off. For example, Riku, the younger brother, he loves to eat. He hates chores. Sora is a brand new teenager. She cares about her appearances like most teenagers do. And she's often teased by her sister and the members of the house, but she doesn't mind. And I love Sora's character just because of this. She does not care if she comes across as vain. She does whatever makes her happy. And thank goodness for that, because thanks to Sora, Umi, our heroine, would never have a very interesting set of events happen to her. Allow me to explain. Umi raises flags every day in memory of her father, who taught her how to read flags. After what I think is the most scenic walk to a school I've ever seen in a movie, Umi gets to her classroom and is greeted by her classmates who show her the school newspaper and are convinced that someone is reading Umi's flags and is responding to them because that's what it seems like from this poetry that got published in the newspaper. And that poetry is just so cute and so teenagey. My God, I can't get enough of it. Cut to the next scene. Umi and her classmates sit together having lunch. One more lovely food scene for you. It's simple and it's exquisite. Rice and what I see are like egg rolls, spinach, pickled plum, this lovely grilled sausage on the side. And I love the details in the scene because as Umi opens her box, you can hear the clanging of the steel cover against her tiffin box, which kind of like this old fashioned steel boxes, like these bento boxes where you would pack, your lunches or your meals for the day. And they've captured that detail really, really beautifully. Anyway, there's a sudden change in scenery as a bunch of boys roll down the signs, interrupting everyone's lunch, asking everybody to pay attention to this protest because they're protesting the demolition of some building. And that's where we meet Umi's hero, Shun. They lock eyes for a quick second, and Shun jumps off the building into a little pool of water to stage a protest. I think what follows is so cute it'll make your heart melt. Umi, being Umi, runs to check on him as the rest are kind of shocked at this daredevil stunt. Turns out Shun is fine, and Umi kind of gives him a hand to help him out of the water. In true childish, immature, absolutely school fashion, all his friends are swooning and teasing the two of them. If you were a teenager in a co-ed school and then go, oh, at some potential couple in some feeble attempt of shipping them, then you are lying to yourself and to me. A photographer tries to capture this moment, and Umi kind of immediately pulls back her hand because she's so embarrassed, and she lets Shun fall into the water. Like she's irritated that they try to, I don't know, publicize her. And she goes back to her table and angrily like continues to eat her food. Anyway, back home, Umi and her grandmother have a conversation, and her grandmother checks in on her, asks her how she handling so much responsibility, and Umi kind of gets defensive, even though the grandmother's just trying to help. She kind of tells her grandma that she's happy to do the chores and it doesn't affect her grades, and she wants to help the boarders or the paying guests. And her grandmother tries to calm her down, tries to talk to her about her father and whether she misses him. And Umi kind of changes the subject and leaves the room. And this kind of storytelling gets me straight in the heart because it's the softness of these scenes and the establishment of an introverted protagonist where she hides her feelings even from her near ones. And this makes Umi very special because there is a secret that Umi shares with us, the audience, but not with anyone in her life. The next day, back in school, Sora insists that Umi accompanies her to get Shun's autograph on the stunt photo. Sumi begrudgingly agrees. Um, Umi begrudgingly agrees, and they go into the Latin Quarter, which, to put lightly, is a mess. And while it houses different activities for the students, it is run down and kind of shoddy looking, very dusty, books everywhere. People kind of made makeshift tents to keep their possessions or to keep their club activities private. Um, Absolutely hilarious. You see a student of philosophy kind of getting angry with the students who run the chemistry club inside the building. He calls them what I think is like such a interesting way to belittle a person who practices chemistry. He calls them you second grade alchemists, and I think that is just hilarious because he he kind of believes in like the magic of life, and he's belittling anybody who is very obsessed with like material things, I guess. But yeah, there are like these cute moments in the movie which I don't know, I think they accompany the audience off and on, and you get to see um like how basically there is this entire environment within the Latin Quarter, within the clubhouse, which is bustling with energy, a lot of ideas, a lot of students clamoring to do things. And this is something which Umi has never seen before because Umi has everything in order. She's organized. Everything is exactly where it's supposed to be. Everything has a time. Everything has a schedule. And this is very different from her existence. So it is interesting to her. The sisters finally find Sean, and he is on some floor with the club president. And the club president is very kind of similar to Umi. He's put together, he's very eloquent, and he can command a room. He's truly the leader. Whereas Shun has like the energy of a soldier who is forging ahead and he wants to make a difference and he's very passionate about saving the clubhouse. This kind of leads to my favorite scene in the entire movie. I think I've spoken about this before on the channel. Uh, Suri, adore moments where there isn't really a conversation happening, but too much is said anyway. For example, in this scene, one thing leads to another, and Sora ends up volunteering Umi to help Shun. I love this scene because if you think about it, school flirting, at least when I used to be in school, was hesitant and it was kind of a slow burn. And I think one thing that me and my school crush had in common was a complete lack of confidence. We were two cowards madly in love with each other. No one was brave enough to say, "My God, you're so handsome," or "make me giddy with your beautiful face," or none of that. Like it was just silly and awkward and uncomfortable silences, but like this constant need to be around each other nonetheless. And allow me to quote to you my school crush's first line that he said to me directly when we were alone for the first time. Like no friends around, no one to talk through, just the two of us existing. He said, "You have lovely handwriting. It is so easy to read." And my God, I know it is stupid and it is barely a compliment, but just the memory of those words, it still makes me blush to this day. My 30-year-old self blushes at that line. It's that ridiculous. And I get why, because it's your first love, it's your first crush. Everything is important, everything is giddying, everything is exciting. And this movie captures those moments very beautifully where when you're an adult, you have experienced things enough number of times to kind of anticipate what's going to happen next. But when you're a teenager, the anticipation is the name of the game. The build up, the tension, the need to kind of I don't know, like surprise, I guess, the other person, but not having the courage to do so is just it's just fascinatingly captured in this movie. And that's when you realize that, when you're kids, the compliments, they're not on appearances, because you don't want to spook your crush. You don't want to think that you don't want them to think that they're probably, looking at someone who's superficial. You want to keep them close. You want to make sure that they stick around. And most of all, you don't want your crush to think that you're some creepy person. Anyway, ironically, that's kind of what happens to Umi too. Shun asks for her help because she has good handwriting. And um, I've said this before on Crumptious, and I'll say it again. The sexual tension between these two teenagers is something out of a fairy tale. I mean, your Umi is tracing and Shun is printing something by her side, and they're just doing their own tasks, just existing in the same room. I mean, remember when being in the same room as your crush was like too much to handle? Just picture the same thing, but even cuter because it is Ghibli animation. Another award-worthy scene is when Omi leaves her home in a rush to buy groceries because she gets late after helping Shun. Shun turns out has cycled out of his way to check if she got home okay. He offers her a ride to the store. You get to see the town, the people, and a significant theme in the movie about crossing over um, to something better. And I will explain this a little more later. There is a sequence where Umi is sitting behind Shun and they're racing down the hill, and it is so cozy and elevating. It makes me kick myself for not doing this when I was a kid. They get to the grocery store, and Shun, being the gentleman he is, he buys her a snack. And it's not picturesque like the other food moments in the movie, but you get to see Umi walking back home leisurely. It's the first time this has happened because we are shown over and over again that Umi is always in a rush to finish her homework, to finish her housework, to help Sean, to like she's always like doing something in a very busy manner. Like she has to get stuff done. She has to get things out of the way. Omi is very uncomfortable accepting help from other people. She doesn't even want help from her own grandmother. But and this is no one's fault. She has deemed herself the caregiver. She makes sure everyone is fed. She makes sure that everyone gets to school or work on time. No one expects this of her, but she does this anyway because it's just who she has become. She's fit herself into this role. This time, however, Umi gets taken care of thanks to Shun, because Shun feeds her. Shun gives her a ride. He makes sure she's okay. And I think there's something so fascinating about that, to watch a person kind of realize that, or maybe rely on a stranger, on an outsider for some kindness, to take a break, to calm down, to relax. And I think From Up on a Poppy Hill is about moments which have nothing to do with the larger than life, the history of things, the culture of things. It's about the day to day. It's about just living. It's about walking with a fried chicken nugget or something and just enjoying this walk in the evening by the trees, up the hill to your home as the night kind of lulls the light around you. And it's just gorgeous. It's gorgeous cinematography. And all of these amazing storylines kind of circle around uh, From Up on a Poppy Hill, and the main storyline being the clubhouse of the Latin Quarter. And this place may face demolition because the chairman wants to, I think, use that area for something else. So, on Umi's suggestion, Shun issues a makeover for the building. Say, we need to renovate it. We need to make it cleaner. We need to make it prettier so that we can show the value of this place and what it brings to the students of the school. And the students kind of get together. He managed to band them together and build this into something truly beautiful. And you get to see the little things that students do without any expectation of financial benefit or, like maybe getting ahead in their grades or anything. This is just something that students are doing to make their lives, their journey in school more memorable. And we have to remember that this was set in a very different time post-war, post the tragedy of Hiroshima and Nagasaki. So everyone who was part of something, it was connected to history. Everything had roots. Everything was important. Everything had culture, and that culture also had history. So there is something that ties Omi and Shun, which goes beyond their attraction for each other. And I will not spoil it, But the history of the country kind of pulls them together, even though they don't know it at this point in the story. And it's the same history that is possibly going to pull them apart. And it's not anything that Shun and Umi volunteered or signed up for. It's something that happened to them. And even though they have nothing to do with this, they did not write this history, it is still going to determine the outcome of their lives. And you get to see these really soft nuances in the story about Shun and Umi, where you kind of see Shun's background. He belongs to a more modest household. He lives in downtown, not in a very scenic, picturesque, mansionesque kind of place like Umi. And yet they both have responsibilities. It's not like because Shun belongs to, like a more modest economic background that he has more responsibilities. Umi also has a lot of work cut out for her because her mom's not around and she has to help out her grandmother, and this kind of binds these two teenagers in a very special way. And this is why their attraction is very relevant. The reason that their responsibilities bind them is because this is what they have in common. They their attraction to each other seems to be the first thing they do just for themselves, not for anyone else, not for school, for family, for duty. They just do it for themselves. Shun worries about the club and his clubmates, and Umi's constantly worrying about her family and the house. And in a very stunning way, their attraction is kind of the first, most beautifully selfish thing that they have done. And it's the first thing they do, not out of obligation, just out of being teenagers who are in love. And it seems like it's the only thing that happens which seems teenager like, because everything else in their life is like it has such heavy adult burdening themes which should not be a child's problem, but it is for the grand scheme of things. It still somehow becomes their issue. And like I said before, there is a large number of secondary characters that move the story in a very wonderful way. For example, my sweet, artistic, poetic Sachiko notices a tugboat that has been responding to Umi's flags with its own flags. And at that point, neither Sachiko or Umi realize that that is actually Shun's dad's tugboat. Another great example of secondary characters is when he's like this amazing secondary character. His name is Mizunoma, and he kind of runs the ship, like I mentioned earlier, and he's very much responsible for kind of getting everybody together, giving like these passionate, I guess, speeches, driving people to this common goal of, having something greater than just a school experience, but actually helping out and building the school experience. And you see that the president always treats Umi with adoration. He is almost flirting with her. And this is a theme in the movie where everybody loves Umi. Like, of course, her family does, but then even the people who sell her groceries, like they'll put a little extra pork for her because, they're fond of her. The person who sells her fish will make sure that she gets fresh fish. The person who gives rides to people will offer her a free ride. Like, there is this theme where everybody loves Umi, and the president is no different. He adores her, and he thinks she is some kind of good luck for the club. And whenever whenever the movie progresses, you see that he always has newfound respect for her. So when the movie reaches like this strange plot twist, Shun and Umi have become noticeably distant from each other, and they're not on talking terms anymore because of this twist. And this kind of happens over the course of them reconstructing the building. And I'm not going to spoil for you why this happens, but while this distance is growing between them, the president notices this, and he, for 5 seconds, kind of stops being the president. He's now someone who's just a friend of Shu. He's not like just this guy who's like trying to get the building up and running, save the Latin Quarter or anything. He's just Mizunoma. He's just Shun's friend Mizunoma, and at this point of time. And he asks him, like, is everything okay between you and Umi? Because something's odd, something seems off. And Shun, of course, keeps it to himself, doesn't say anything, kind of, dismisses his friend. You also notice that um, this kind of storytelling, it's phenomenal because generally when there is a romance or when there is a tale about romance, everyone else other than the girl and the boy, they get blurred out. And in this classic style of Ghibli storytelling, we have an opportunity to attend a master class. The story is not just about the boy and the girl falling in love. It's about friends and family and little relationships and little things that make our life worth living. I will also say this, that the president of the Latin Quarter, he should win the Wingman of the Century award because Mizunuma is just, he's just so intuitive. Like, he's not like just caught up in his own thing. He's not selfish. He's not narcissistic. He cares about his friend. He cares about the well-being of Umi. So when the three of them, meaning Umi, Shun, and Mizunuma, they go to Tokyo to appeal, to save the Latin Quarter, the clubhouse. There is like this moment where he makes this very flimsy excuse and he says, I have to go meet my uncle and, I'll meet you guys tomorrow. Bye. And he just leaves. And I love that because it's just, the thing is, throughout the movie, Shun and Umi are always doing something, right, for someone else. And that is how they're meeting each other. They don't actually have real privacy. And for once, this friend of theirs kind of says, you know what, you guys need to talk out whatever is going on. You need to like resolve it and deal with it because um, I think you guys need some privacy. And he gives them this privacy that the audience, all the characters in the movie, everybody knows, except for Shun and Umi, everybody knows that they need this moment to themselves. And you see that that is kind of the premise of the movie, the attentiveness of every character towards the other. For example, when Umi gets so overwhelmed with her emotions and her life that she starts sobbing like a little infant in front of her mom. And her mother tries to comfort her because she's been away for so long. And when she finally meets her child, she doesn't know why Umi is crying. And in this moment, I realized that even I have forgotten that this is not a story of grown adults. This is a story of school going teenagers who are enduring consequences of family secrets which have nothing to do with them. And it's still kind of wrapping them up completely. Like that, the whole problem with their lives is not even about them, it's about other people, but it is still interfering with them. And everything about the movie kind of circles around details. There are a lot of blink and you'll miss details, so watch out for those. The movie is also foolproof when it comes to continuity. This obviously comes as no surprise. Studio Ghibli loves to get deep with the details. For example, the person who drops off the housemaid, he offers Umi a ride, like I said. In the beginning of the movie, when she's going to school, he says, hey, do you want to, take a ride for free? And Umi politely declines. She doesn't want anyone's help, as usual. And she chooses to walk instead. And then they show the same man shows up again towards the end of the movie and he offers Umi a ride again this time. Umi, having shown tremendous character growth, accepts his help, showing that no hero can become a hero without a little bit of help along the way. Like I said earlier, there is a significance of crossing over. Umi crossing over the threshold of the clubhouse at the Latin Quarter is a new adventure for her. Shun crossing over to meet Umi in her home is a new adventure to him, which kind of brings him closer to his own roots. When they're racing across the street to get to groceries, it's the first time they do something which is, kind of like in the privacy of their feelings for each other, which is really, really sweet. And then they also quite literally cross over waters to get some answers about the past. And all I can say is it's poetry. From Up on the Poppy Hill is pure poetry. The story ends well, so don't worry if I scared you a bit in the middle with a plot twist. It's all good. It's all feel good. It's just a happy, happy film, colorful film. And please watch it now if you have not. And if you've already watched it and loved it the way I have, You, my darling, you're my favorite person in this whole world. So please, please, please like and share and subscribe and share this video with all your friends. If you, I don't know, love Studio Ghibli animation like I do. Um, this is Suri, and I love you as you are, wherever you are. Bye.